Aimer again, back with the continuation of my review of Mission Impossible episodes from the TV series. This time I'm going to talk about episode 2 from season 1 of the original series, which is called Memory. This episode starts with Dan getting his instructions from a photographer in the street. Interesting note, in the first year, the original idea was to have Dan get the instructions in different ways each episode, rather than always getting them on a tape or something like that. But that idea was quickly shelved because it became too complicated. Logistically, of course, it's a lot easier for the producers to film a whole bunch of these opening sequences for the various episodes all at one time, so budget and all that kind of thing kind of nixed that idea. So the normal team is chosen. We're also introduced to Joseph Baresh as the guest agent. He's played by Albert Paulson, who's a frequent villain in future seasons. You'll see him a lot as I continue to do these reviews. Barish has a photographic memory, hence the name of the episode, which he demonstrates by immediately remembering a sequence of cards in the deck, information from the phone book, stuff like that, but he's also a hopeless alcoholic. Anyway, the mission is to take down a war criminal behind the Iron Curtain by having Barish go in as a long-wanted agent named Sparrow. He will finger the target, Janos Kark, as a double agent. To do so, Barish will have to go into a military prison and convince its warden, Dmitry Soska, about the truth of the information. And then the Americans will try and get Barish to be released. No guarantees about that. So Joseph is going into this knowing that it could be a suicide mission, but he agrees anyway. Dan and Joseph go over facts and techniques to make his story as Sparrow credible for Soska. That's kind of a fun sequence. The IMF enters the country. Dan tries to get a hotel room with a false passport, which puts some bad guys on his tail. Dan meets up with Joseph and is able to escape the bad guys, but Joseph is caught as planned. He's identified as Sparrow and taken to Soska, who's played by veteran actor Leonard Stone. Barish is roughed up by Soska and is unable to keep his eyes off the alcohol in the room. That tips him off, pronouns pal, tips Soska off to Joe's weakness. After a fair deal of punishment, Barish fingers Kark to an incredulous Soska. Cinnamon distracts a bunch of firemen nearby the way she usually does, allowing Willie to get some of their equipment, and Barney sets off some smoke bombs at the prison. As firemen, Willie and Dan mount a rescue attempt, Joseph is able to get a look at Soska's complete list of agents, and lets Dan know that. The axe marks on Barish's cell door convince Soska that the Americans want to get him out, which likely means that the information about Kark is true. When the team reassembles outside, expecting to go home, Dan tells them they're going back in, based on what Joseph has found. Dan enlists Rollins' help to film some footage of Joseph in his cell. Some cops stop by, but they're subdued by Willie in a funny bit. Janos Kark is executed by a firing squad, while Barney prepares a projectile with some equipment and instructions for Joseph, who's also scheduled for execution at dawn, and asks for a bottle of brandy, figuring the team won't be able to rescue him in time, so he might as well enjoy himself. Willie manages to overpower a guard and get a uniform so he can get into the prison, bringing Dan and Barney with him as prisoners. The projectile reaches Joseph, who follows the instructions, railing at the security guard, watching him on closed circuit, and covering up the camera with a blanket. Then, a screen, which plays the footage they shot earlier, with Rollin as Joseph. The projectile also contains some thermite to break the window cell bars, and rope to allow Joseph to escape. Soska talks to the security guard, who indicates that Joseph never left his bed. Barney shorts out the electrified fence, allowing Dan to retrieve Joseph and get him to the awaiting IMF van to make their escape. Mission accomplished, and we end the episode with this entertaining bit.
Coastline's only 400 yards. Boat's waiting. How was it?
I forget.
The second episode of the series, any series, is always going to be tough to assess. Audiences are always expecting better than the first, so if it's not, it's kind of a letdown. Always very tough. But the bloom is always off the rose. You can never repeat the first experience, obviously. In the case of Mission Impossible, though, this second episode does hold its own, I think. I would give it a solid B maybe a B minus here. It can plot a little bit at times, but Albert Paulson works very, very well here as a guest agent. He's unquestionably the highlight of the episode. The actual mission itself seems secondary sometimes to whether or not Paulson's character will actually endure till the end and whether the team will actually be able to rescue him. That's not a bad thing. I think that's actually a good thing. As I mentioned, other things that are really, really good, where Dan and Joseph are going over Sparrow's history, the emotions that are shown there are very, very real. Some of the parts are lighthearted, they're laughing. Sometimes Joseph is frustrated at all the time that it's taking. And this continues in some of the other preparation sequences during the episode. You know, there's some lighthearted banter, which actually makes the IMF seem kind of human, right? And it's a little bit refreshing, as long as it's not overdone. And it's not overdone in this episode. I think it's fine. So as I said, it's an above average episode. B minus, I think, is about where it is. I cannot find anything really bad to say about this episode. It's entertaining. It's a little bit formulaic. You might be able to, you know, call how the episode is going to go from the very beginning, or at least from the middle, when Joseph actually discovers the enemy's list and memorizes it, as he's wont to do. So that's my review for Memory. Next time, I'm going to review episode 3, which is quite a treat. It's called Operation Rogosh, and I'll let you wait until I review it. It's quite different than the other two, the first 2 episodes. So I'm going to have a good time reviewing that, and I hope you enjoy it too. As always, if you like what I'm doing, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. I really, really do appreciate everybody watching and paying attention to what I'm doing, and I'll see you next time.